You know that feeling, right? You're staring at your bank statement and you finally just say, okay, that's it. This time I am seriously getting my savings together. You actually open up the account, you transfer the funds, and man, in that exact moment, you just feel like a boss. You're entirely in control, and the path forward, it looks absolutely crystal clear.
But then, well, you know how this goes. A few days pass, that initial rush kind of wears off, and then something just incredibly small happens. We're not talking about a disaster here. It's literally just a regular Tuesday. You're exhausted from work, so you order some takeout just this once, right? Or maybe you're out running errands and you grab a little something you didn't really need. And then suddenly you check your balance and boom, that sinking feeling hits you right in the chest. You're watching your hard-earned savings start to just vanish. And you're left staring at your screen asking, why do I always do this? It is just so frustrating, so deflating to watch your progress evaporate when you don't even fully understand why your grip slipped in the first place.
And honestly, our internal monologue when this happens is always exactly the same. Just this once, I'll fix it next month. We literally sit there and bargain with ourselves. We validate our own self-sabotage with these impulsive little rationalizations. And slowly, without making any single massive financial mistake, like nobody went out and bought a luxury car or booked a trip to the Maldives, you just find yourself right back at square one. No savings, zero progress, just pure frustration. And, I think the absolute worst part of this entire cycle is the confusion. You genuinely don't even know why it keeps happening.
So listen, if this is sounding deeply, painfully familiar to you right now, I just want you to take a breath. You are not bad with money. Seriously, I'm going to say that again because you really need to hear it. You are not bad with money. Most of us are taught that saving is just a simple math equation, right? Just spend less than you earn. Simple. But come on, if it were actually just about math, every single one of us would have a massive, healthy savings account. The truth? People don't fail at saving because they lack income or discipline. They fail because of a hidden psychological loop. It's a deeply ingrained pattern in how our brains process money that quietly forces us to self-sabotage.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it works inside your head. Imagine your brain is operating in two totally different modes, locked in this constant, exhausting tug-of-war. You've got present you and future you. Present you is all about right this very second. It wants comfort, it wants instant pleasure, and it absolutely demands convenience. Future you, though, that's the responsible one. Future you wants long-term security, financial freedom, all that good stuff. But here is the massive, glaring problem. Present you is incredibly loud, and future you is very, very quiet. So future you makes this beautiful, grand plan to save. But when it's actually time to execute that plan, say right at the checkout counter, loud present you takes the steering wheel and yells, "Nope, let's just enjoy today."
And that brings us to the first really hidden layer of why we fail. Believe it or not, saving money actually creates real emotional discomfort. Think about it for a sec. Every single time you actively choose to save, you are fundamentally saying no to something else. You're saying no to that gadget you want, no to a quick burst of dopamine, no to taking the easy, convenient route. And every single no creates this tiny bit of psychological tension inside you. And your brain? Oh, your brain absolutely despises that tension. It desperately looks for a way out. And the absolute fastest, easiest way to release that emotional tension is, you guessed it, by spending. That is exactly why, after 3 days of being quote-unquote good, you suddenly get this overwhelming urge to just reward yourself. It's not you being weak, it's literally just your brain trying to restore its emotional balance.
Let's bring this down to earth with a practical example so you can really see how this plays out. Let's say you decide to set a totally reasonable goal for yourself. You want to save 5,000 rupees this month. It's clear, it's totally achievable. You lock it in. You are pumped and ready to go.
So, let's walk through the timeline of how this actually unfolds. Week 1 goes flawlessly. You're sticking to the plan, making your meals at home, and you feel incredibly proud of yourself. But then, we hit week 2. You're out, and you see something you really, really like. You hesitate, you remember that 5,000 rupees goal. But then, that quiet little voice chimes in, hey, it's just one purchase. You've been so good. And of course, making that one justified purchase completely breaks the seal. It turns into 2 purchases, then 3. And by the end of the month, that entire 5,000 rupees savings goal has completely disappeared into thin air.
Now, what just happened there is actually a heavily documented behavioral trap called the reset effect. And it is fascinating but also incredibly dangerous. It works exactly like this. You break your perfectly laid plan just one single time, and instead of just saying, oops, my bad, and correcting course the next day, you abandon the entire thing. Your brain tells you, well, look, I already messed up. I might as well just keep spending. As crazy as it sounds, our brains actually crave consistency, even if it's bad consistency. We do this exact same thing with diets, we do it with studying for exams, and we especially do it with our money.
The painful reality of this reset effect is that it takes a tiny, basically harmless deviation and mutates it into a total system failure. A tiny slip-up spirals into a full-blown collapse. You end up watching your savings slowly leak away to absolute zero, not because you wanted it to, but because the psychological friction of getting back on the horse just felt way harder than giving up. You're literally self-sabotaging because your internal system is practically built for failure.
And this brilliantly illustrates an even deeper layer to the whole puzzle: your personal identity. Think about it. Most people do not actually wake up and see themselves as someone who saves. Deep down in their bones, they view themselves as a spender. They identify as someone who enjoys life, who lives in the moment, who likes to treat themselves and their friends. So when they suddenly try to play the role of a saver, it creates massive internal conflict. Your daily actions are no longer matching up with your core identity. And anytime there's a conflict like that, your brain goes into overdrive to resolve it, by dragging you kicking and screaming right back to your old behavior. Your self-sabotage isn't random at all. It is highly, highly predictable.
This leads us to a pretty massive shift in how we need to approach this whole savings game. Think about this for a second. Saving money should not feel like a daily choice. If every single morning you have to wake up and consciously, actively decide to save money, you are eventually going to lose. The exact moment that saving becomes an internal debate between present you and future you, you've already lost the battle. Why? Because present you is always louder, and its demands are immediate. We have to figure out a way to remove the debate entirely.
And the absolute key to completely removing that debate is understanding the difference between willpower and systems. Most of us try to save using sheer brute force willpower, but willpower is fundamentally flawed and unreliable. Think of it like a battery on your phone that drains as the day goes on. It fades when you're stressed, when you're tired, or when you're emotional. Every time you rely on willpower, you are basically setting a trap for yourself. The people who actually succeed at saving money, they don't rely on motivation at all. They rely on systems. Systems are automatic. They require zero daily decisions from you. And frankly, fewer decisions mean way fewer chances to fail. Saving shouldn't be a struggle. It should just happen in the background like breathing.
But alongside building those automatic systems, we also have to completely flip the psychological lens we use. This is the difference between sacrifice and progress. Look, saving feels incredibly hard when it constantly feels like a loss. Most people focus entirely on what they are giving up: the fancy coffees, the dinners out, the new clothes. But what's crazy is that saving actually becomes borderline addictive when it starts to feel like progress. Very few people focus on the freedom and security they are actually building. Remember, your brain focuses on whatever you tell it to. If saving feels like a daily sacrifice, you're going to fight it forever. But if you can reframe it so it genuinely feels like growth, you'll stick with it naturally. So how do we actually practically stop this endless cycle of self-sabotage? Well, here's your action plan. First up, step 1, automate your savings. Seriously, remove the need for willpower completely out of the equation. The exact millisecond your paycheck hits your account, a set portion needs to be automatically routed directly into a savings account before you even have a chance to look at it. Just completely remove the choice. Step 2, start small. Please do not try to save half your paycheck right out of the gate, because massive changes just create massive mental resistance. Build the habit and the consistency first, and then you can slowly increase the amount. And step 3, redefine your identity. You've got to stop telling yourself and everyone around you, "Oh, I'm just bad with money." Catch yourself. Start actively saying, "I am someone who saves consistently." I know it sounds almost silly, but your identity shapes your behavior more than anything else.
Now, to really lock in these new behaviors, you'll want to bake these 3 rules right into your system. First off, create a guilt-free spending zone. If you try to aggressively cut out literally everything fun in your life, you're going to snap and go on a binge spending spree. Having a controlled, safe amount you're allowed to spend prevents that completely. Second, you have to break the reset effect. If you mess up, do not, I repeat, do not wait until the 1st of next month to try again. Fix it the very next day. Remember, progress is all about continuity, not perfection. And finally, make your progress highly visible. Track that savings account. Watch that number physically go up. When you can literally see the progress you're making, it feeds the reward center of your brain in an incredibly powerful, positive way. Ultimately, what this entire explainer really boils down to is this one powerful truth. The real goal isn't to save once, it's to stop stopping. Saving money is not just some math test you failed. It is a psychological game.
You aren't lazy, and you certainly aren't careless. You've just been playing the game using the completely wrong strategy. The moment you stop relying on your exhausting, drainable willpower and start building rock-solid automated systems, absolutely everything changes. You take that heavy burden right off your daily decision-making.
Which leaves us with this. The very next time you sit down to plan out your finances, I want you to stop asking yourself, how much should I save this month? Honestly, that is the wrong question to start with. Instead, I want you to ask yourself this: how can I make saving totally automatic so I don't have to fight myself every single day? You need to design an environment that actually protects you from your own impulses. Because once you master this psychological game, you don't just save some money, you finally take true, lasting control of your future. So think about your current setup right now. What is the very first thing you can automate today?